Hey there! Right before Christmas Eve in 2000, a 16-year-old girl went shopping with her friend at a mall in the city to pick up some Christmas gifts. After they were done, they said their goodbyes and headed home. But no one could have guessed that the 16-year-old would never make it back. This turned into one of the biggest and most manpower-heavy investigations in the history of crime solving in the UK. The crime happened in the city of Leeds, the geographic heart of the United Kingdom. Leeds is the third largest city in England and has the second biggest economy in the UK, right after London. It's a thriving, livable city. The main character of our story is a girl named Leanne Tiernan. She was born in September 1984. Her dad, Michael, and her mom had gotten divorced when she was little. Lily was an optimistic, strong-willed girl with amazing grades. She'd worked hard and got into Wheatwood High School, where she wasn't just cheerful but also super confident, making her well-liked by a lot of people at school. But tragedy struck out of nowhere right before Christmas. So what happened to her that day? Let's rewind to November 26th, 2000. November 26th, 2000 was a Sunday. Lily didn't have school that day, and with Christmas just a month away, she decided to meet up with her best friend, Sarah, to go shopping for gifts at a mall in downtown Leeds. That day, the two of them had a blast wandering through different shopping centers in the city. They had a great time together. When they were done, they caught a bus to head back home. Both of them lived in Bramley, a neighborhood in the northwest part of Leeds. In no time, the bus reached Bramley Station and the two girls got off together. 4:50 p.m. The girls got off the bus and walked to Hotel Road, where they said their goodbyes and headed toward their own homes. Lily took a dark path that led into a small wooded area called Hockley Gill. All she had to do was cut through that little forest, and she'd be home. Sarah's house wasn't far from there either. After Sarah got home, she called Lily's house to check if Lily had made it back safely. Lily's mom picked up the phone and said Lily hadn't come home yet. That made Sarah feel a little uneasy. The spot where they'd parted ways wasn't far from either of their houses. If Sarah was already home, Lily should have been too, right? Mrs. Chen started to worry as well. Sarah was home, but her daughter was nowhere to be found. At first, she tried to calm herself down, thinking maybe Lily had run into some friends on the way or stopped somewhere nearby and just hadn't made it back yet. So she decided to wait a little longer to see what happened. 5:20 p.m. It had been 30 minutes since the girls split up and Lily still wasn't home. Normally, if Lily ran into friends or decided to make a quick stop somewhere, she'd call home to let her family know so they wouldn't worry. But today, she hadn't done that. Panicking about her daughter, Mrs. Chen called Lily's cell phone right away. Weirdly, the phone rang for a bit and then went to voicemail. She tried calling a few more times, but the same thing happened. Why would Lily do that? It was so out of character. 7 p.m. Mrs. Chen still hadn't heard from her daughter. Worried something terrible had happened, she decided to report Lily's disappearance to the local police. The police jumped into action right away, starting their investigation. After getting the report, the police immediately sent investigators to Lily's house. Once they heard the initial details from her mom, they decided they needed to act fast. They put together a plan to search the area around Lily's house, starting from the spot where the girls had parted ways and leading up to her home. On her way home, Lily would have had to pass through a wooded area called Hockley Gill, a wild, overgrown spot with lots of trees. It seemed like the most likely place where she might have disappeared. They mobilized over 200 police officers and volunteers that night to comb through the forest, trying to find Lily or any clues she might have left behind. Sadly, they didn't find anything on that first day of searching. The next day, November 27th, the police started tracking Lily's cell phone. They found that her phone had been turned on for a short time before being shut off for good right after. The police tried texting and calling her phone but got no response. They also started searching along the route Lily would have taken home, getting warrants to search around 800 houses, garages, and 150 shops within a half-mile radius of the forest, but they didn't find anything suspicious. At the same time, another team was sifting through household trash near the forest. Helicopters and police dogs were brought in to help with the search, but still, nothing turned up. The police didn't give up. They collected DNA from 140 suspicious men in the area. West Yorkshire Police, British Waterways, British Transport Police, the National Search Centre, and other agencies all worked together, doing everything they could to find Lily. But they couldn't catch a single break. They held on to hope that she might still be alive, but as time passed, the chances of finding Lily grew slimmer. By December 3rd, a week after Lily vanished, the people of Leeds stepped up to help. A local businessman personally donated £10,000 as a reward, hoping someone might come forward with information. As more media outlets started covering the disappearance, the police got tons of calls from people saying they'd seen someone who looked like Lily. But after checking each lead, none of them panned out. Lily's parents spoke to the media, publicly thanking everyone for their support and help. They said their family would never give up searching and hoped Lily would come home safe and sound soon. On December 4th, 9 days after the incident, a witness came forward and told police that around 5 p.m. on November 26th, the time Lily went missing, they saw a man walking his dog in the forest nearby. They didn't know who he was, but they described him. About 5 feet, 8 inches tall, a bit chubby, round face with red marks and scars, wearing a black knit cap, a jacket, and jeans. With the witness's help, the police created a composite sketch of the man and released it to the public, hoping someone could identify him. They also expanded the investigation, searching 1,750 buildings, 32 drainage wells, and 2 miles of sewers. The case became the largest search operation in West Yorkshire history. They even paused local trash collection so the police could search every dumpster in the area for evidence. Wrapped in 9 green plastic bags with yellow cable ties around her neck, her hands tied behind her back, the police identified the body as Lily Chen, who'd been missing for over 9 months. The cause of death was asphyxiation. Since the body was so well preserved, cryobiology experts examined Lily's heart tissue and microstructure. Based on the level of decomposition and the temperature at the time, they concluded that Lily had been kept in a freezer after being killed and had only been dumped there a few weeks earlier. The coroner found that the rope tied around her body was a special kind of material, produced by a company in Devon, with only a small batch sold to the public, usually used for making rabbit traps. They also found a few red nylon carpet fibers on Lily's clothes, and forensic experts discovered a strand of human hair on her neck. Lab tests confirmed the hair didn't belong to Lily. It came from a man, likely the killer who'd left it behind. With this evidence, the police upgraded Lily's disappearance to a murder case, and they gave the investigation a code name: Operation Cloverfield. They released detailed info about the spot where the body was dumped, asking anyone suspicious in the area or anyone who'd seen someone hanging around there a lot to contact the police immediately. After that, The police got leads from all kinds of sources. They collected DNA from about 200 people, and one suspect caught their attention. A guy named John Taylor. Born on August 27, 1956 in Leeds, he'd been divorced from his wife for about 4 years. He lived alone near Lily's house, about 3/4 of a mile away. The police took his DNA because witnesses had seen him hanging around Lily's neighborhood. According to neighbors, John was a kind, reliable guy who kept a lot of small animals at his house. It didn't take long for the police to uncover a major clue. The leather collar wrapped around Lily's neck was made by a company in Tottenham. They'd sold it wholesale to 220 dealers. When the police checked with the 112th dealer, the dealer said they only sold products through special orders. They'd shipped 3 orders to the Leeds area, and one of them was to John Taylor, the police's suspect. That wasn't all. The yellow cable ties on Lily's neck and hands were made by an Italian company. That company said 99% of their yellow cable ties were sold to Royal Mail, a major British multinational delivery and postal service. Royal Mail had a subsidiary called Parcel Force Worldwide. And guess who worked there as a delivery driver? John Taylor, the suspect. So, was this all just a wild coincidence? When the lab's DNA results came back, things got clearer. It turned out John's DNA matched the DNA from the hair found on Lily's body. The police also learned that some odd details about the crime scene evidence pointed to a certain level of planning. On October 16, 2001, almost 2 months after Lily's body was found. With enough evidence in hand, the police arrested John. They immediately sealed off the garden at John's house and the wasteland behind it. Investigators found 3 large freezers at his place, along with some yellow cable ties and green plastic bags that matched the ones wrapped around Lily's body. They also found a few red carpet fibers stuck to a nail on the floor. And after testing, those fibers matched the ones on Lily's clothes. Pollen experts collected samples from John's garden and analyzed them in the lab. The results showed they matched the exact type of pollen found in Lily's nose, skin, and hair, suggesting she'd been in that garden before she was killed. With all this undeniable evidence, John confessed to his crime. He said that on November 26th, the day Lily disappeared, he'd gone to Hockley Gill Forest for a walk. That's when 16-year-old Lily happened to pass by. On impulse, he grabbed her and tied her hands behind her back with a dog leash he had on him. He went on to cover her head with his jacket and forced her to walk with him. He took her to his house nearby, where he forced her onto his bed. Lily fought back desperately, and during the struggle, she fell off the bed and hit her head on the floor. John claimed he wrapped a scarf around her neck to make her behave, but in her desperation, he accidentally killed her. Panicked, he wrapped up her body and dumped it in Lily World. He insisted Lily's death was an accident. When the police asked why he'd kidnapped her in the first place, he just said, "I don't have a comment." The police didn't buy his story. They believed he'd planned to assault her, which is why he tied her hands, and that the jacket he claimed was over her head must have slipped off during the struggle, letting her see his face. In that split second, he decided to kill her to keep her quiet, using the cable ties to strangle her. There was a big hole in his story, though. He claimed he was so scared that he immediately dumped her body in Lily World, but the police knew Lily had been kept in a freezer for a long time before being dumped there, which totally contradicted his statement. On February 15, 2002, over a year after the incident, a trial was held at Leeds Crown Court. John admitted in court that he'd kidnapped Lily, and a hearing followed, where he was detained awaiting the next trial. On July 8, 2002, 5 months after the initial trial, John finally admitted to murdering Lily. The court sentenced him to life in prison. Detective Inspector Grant, who led the case, said, "We're not saying this was the first major crime he committed. We believe the way he killed her was premeditated, as was the way he hid and disposed of the body. It was all calculated. We can't rule out the possibility that he's killed before, given how professional his methods were." The police suspected this wasn't John's first crime, so they decided to reopen and investigate unsolved sexual assault cases that had happened near the Hockley Gill Forest in the past. After tireless efforts, they found that the suspect's profile in 2 cases matched John. On October 18, 1988, a 32-year-old woman was on her way to pick up her kid from school when she passed through Hockley Gill Forest. A masked man with a knife attacked her and forced her into a sexual act. Then, on March 1, 1989, a 21-year-old woman was at home when a strange man broke in, forced her into her bedroom, and, wearing a mask and holding a knife, made her engage in a sexual act. The evidence from both cases had been preserved, and after analyzing and comparing the DNA, the police confirmed John was the culprit in both. On February 2, 2003, with the evidence in hand, John pleaded guilty to the 2 older cases in court. After that, West Yorkshire Police reopened over a dozen old unsolved cases, including 5 murders they believed might be linked to John. They concluded he might have been a serial sexual predator for the past 25 years. John Taylor was sentenced to life in prison again, with no chance of parole. He'll spend the rest of his life behind bars for his crimes. On September 28, 2001, Lily's family held her funeral. It should have been her birthday, but she'll be 16 forever. Staying cautious is so important when women are alone. Always be on guard because danger can come out of nowhere. That's it for today's video. I'll see you in the next case. Thanks for watching. Bye.